A few years ago, I tried Subtl Beauty for the first time. This is a woman-owned vegan beauty brand that has refillable and stackable makeup that caters to simple everyday looks. This is what they call a stack. You can see all of the layers that represent a step in a full makeup routine. It's designed to both streamline your collection while also making it more on-the-go friendly. Now, when I created my first Subtl stack back in 2023, I was a little bit on the fence from the price to just my makeup preferences at the time. I also don't think I designed my first stack very well. I was thinking about how it would fill in gaps in my overall makeup collection instead of treating it like a standalone makeup collection, which is what it's supposed to be. So that was my bad. But not only have my makeup preferences changed since then, but the brand has actually released several new products that I felt filled in the gaps of what the stack was missing and where I had to grab other products from my collection to finish the look. Which brings me to this video. The brand was kind enough to let me design a new stack, including their new shades and formulas. And I want to determine whether this could replace my full makeup bag now, especially while traveling. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. This channel is dedicated to budget-conscious beauty. If that sounds like your vibe, hit subscribe. So before we get into applying this, I want to go over the basics of designing your own Subtl stack. When you purchase your first stack, you get the pans of product with the twistable casing. And even if you only buy one product layer, you get a lid, base, and a brush with your order free. If you hit $100, then you get an upgraded lid with a mirror. Now, I will say they could stand to improve their mirror lid just a bit because mine did break when I first twisted it together. Now, once you have all of the packaging, then you can just buy the refill pans moving forward, and those come without the twisting components. Now let's talk about pricing, because the price definitely kept me on the fence last time I reviewed Subtl. The first time you buy a Subtl stack, it is going to be a little bit more expensive because it's coming with the packaging. Each layer ranges from $12 to $18, and then the refills range from about $10 to $16. So back in 2023, I was a little meh about this price range, but now in 2025, that's pretty comparable to most drugstore makeup prices now. So in my opinion, this is a lot more competitively priced and reasonable, especially for the convenience and overall concept. And that's definitely one of the main reasons why I wanted to revisit Subtl and kind of have this updated context while retesting their products and trying their new ones for the first time. All right, the first layer in my stack is their cream concealer. So this is $14 when you buy it for the first time. It comes with this outer purple packaging, but it's only $12 when you buy the refill alone. This is supposed to be a lightweight but long-lasting formula that contains coffee seed oil to help reduce puffiness. Now, last time I built a stack, I discovered that the shade 007N was like my perfect shade match, and I would use this concealer more so in lieu of foundation all over the face versus as a brightening concealer. So I think it'll still work for me. I did just get back from Mexico, so I'm slightly deeper than my normal shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap this over where I have some acne and hyperpigmentation. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit light for me just because I've been in the sun the past week with SPF, but I think we can make it work. It blends really, really nicely, and it definitely gives like medium coverage straight off the bat. It can be sheared out and built up. I may have to order like one shade down though, because I'll probably either stay this color or get even a little bit deeper as I spend more time in the sun this upcoming season. So I'm actually just gonna dab this all over the face instead of spot concealing, just to make it look a bit more even. And the formula is very thin but spreadable. It is incredibly lightweight, so you can easily use it like this to just get a nice even layer of coverage everywhere. I think they may have updated this concealer formula since the last time I tried it because it feels thinner and easier to blend. They really nailed the neutral undertone with this concealer for sure. Yeah, actually applied all over the face. I think this shade blends in to work well for me still. I would say it taps out at the top level of medium coverage right before we get into full coverage territory. But honestly, that's enough for me for the types of looks I would want to achieve with this product. It has a slightly radiant finish. I think that it is just the right amount of glow without going into dewy territory, but I am going to use a powder a little bit later. Now, since the last time I built a stack, Subtl added new bronzer shades, so I ordered one that I think will match me better than last time. This is in Latte. These are $14 the first time you buy them, and then $12 for the refill. So this is a powder bronzer, and that's something that I still think the brand is missing, a cream bronzer. Personally, I prefer cream products for on the go. You can eliminate the need for brushes. You can just use one sponge or even your fingers. But remember, every stack does come with a small brush, so that is what I'm going to use. And the brand has also released other travel-friendly brushes and makeup tools. I'll be using a couple more later. It is a little bit powdery of a formula. You can see there's a little bit of kick up in the pan. Let's see how this shade works. Oh, that's gonna be so much better than last time. Last time, because there were less shades, I picked kind of the one that was more so for tan and deeper skin than I certainly have, and it was just very red and dark on me. So much better of a choice. Now, these are bronzers. They are warmer. You can definitely still try to achieve a little bit of a bronzer look with it, but just to manage expectations, they are not like cool contours. With that said, it's not pulling orange at all. So as long as you order the right shade, it will be a flattering warmth. Now, even though I would have preferred using a cream bronzer over this cream concealer, it is blending in pretty evenly and without any patchiness. Because usually that's my main concern with mixing powders and creams on the face. Yeah, I feel like this is a neutral enough shade that I can definitely get away with using it to contour a bit. And this flat brush shape is actually perfect to get in the cheekbones, over the cheekbones, in the hairline, on either side of the nose. It is a very good like multitasking, get everywhere brush. Now, Subtl has two different options when it comes to the cheeks. They have their lip and cheek, which is a cream formula, and they also have a powder blush. I grabbed the lip and cheek in Runway to Rosé. This is $14 the first time you buy it and $12 for refills. This is made with jojoba oil and shea butter, so it's going to be very hydrating and nourishing on the skin. Now, I did also pick up a powder blush. This is Pink in a Pinch. This is one of their more expensive products. This is $18 the first time you buy it and $16 for refills. But despite being a powder formula, this is supposed to be hydrating because it's infused with squalane. I do realize that these are very close in shade, but I think I want to go with the lip and cheek just because, like I said, when I'm on the go, I really do lean more toward cream products that I can just swipe on with my fingers. And this is also why I think the brand could really use a cream bronzer just to work a little bit more harmoniously with the other cream makeup, although this does apply over where I put the bronzer pretty well with, again, no patchiness. And what I like about their cream formulas is that they are radiant, but they are lightweight and they're not overly dewy. So even if you do have oilier skin, I think these are gonna work well for you, and I'm not too worried about using these formulas in summer when my skin does lean a little oilier and a little sweatier. I love this color. Not too warm. Yeah, this is looking seamless on top of the powder bronzer. That's not really a concern of mine, but I'd like a cream bronzer I could tap on with my fingers because I actually don't like traveling with makeup brushes. And this blush is definitely buildable. You can wear it just sheer for a wash or build it up for a little bit more rosiness. Now, like I said, this is called the lip and cheek. I will show you what it looks like on the lips. It does look and feel very smooth on the lips. I think doing a 2-in-1 lip and cheek product is always a gamble. I think there are a lot out there that only look good one way. This does look good both ways, though in the past, I have found that it does not provide the long-lasting moisture that I prefer my lip products to have. So definitely good in a pinch and as a multitasking product, especially if you're trying to keep your stack short. But I do remember from last time that I just felt like my lips kind of ran out of hydration pretty quickly, but I do have new lip products to try from them a little later, so stay tuned. Okay, so Subtl also has both cream and powder formulas for highlighter. In the cream formula, I picked up the shade Rosé. This is $18 for the first time, $16 for refills. Now I did also pick up a powder highlight from them. They did expand their powder highlight options since the last time I built a stack when I think there was only one shade. This is the shade Golden Gimlet. The powder highlight is $16 when you buy it for the first time and $14 for refills. Now today on my face, I am going to use the cream highlighter, though I do think there's an argument for getting both the cream and powder option because both of these can double as eyeshadows. And that is definitely something that I kept in mind when building this new stack. How much could I push the functionality of each layer to give me more options? And with that said, the powder blush and powder bronzer can also be eyeshadow options too. So going into Rosé, this is a very, very thin formula, incredibly lightweight. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Just adds that little extra beam to your highlight because the cream blush or the lip and cheek already gave me a little bit of a radiance boost, but y'all know how much I love a glow. That's my glow dance. This is a very thin texture as well, not heavy at all. Yeah. Love that so much. Now the brand did actually address one piece of feedback that I mentioned in my last Subtl review. I said that there should definitely be a brow product somewhere in this range, but I was thinking more so along the lines of a brow powder because obviously that would stack pretty well with the rest of the products. But recently they actually released a Brow BFF 3-in-1 brow tool. This is a standalone product. It's $26, but like the name suggests, it is a multitasker. You get a brow pencil on one side, a spoolie brush on the other, but then under the spoolie is actually a brow gel. Now I do want to call them out, just a little bit of playful teasing from me, nothing too serious, but this seems more like a 2-in-1 product or a 2.5-in-1 product versus 3 because most brow pencils these days do come with a spoolie on the other end. So having this plus the brow gel, it seems more along the lines of a 2-in-1 to me. But either way, this is nice. I do think this is innovative because I have seen pencils with brow gels on the other side, but then you lose the blending ability that just a plain brush gives you. So let's try it out. This is the shade Dark Brown. I'm always a little nervous with new brow pencils because I do have brown hair and brows, but they are on the cooler side. So I often have to order black so that it doesn't end up looking too chocolatey, like in comparison with my natural brows. This does seem to at least be more neutral. So I think it'll be able to blend in pretty well with my natural brows. I also really like the smaller tip. It's definitely not like a micro tip, but I'm happy that it's not one of those like slanted brow pencils. I always think those end up dulling and creating super thick lines. Yeah, I think this shade works for me. So even though this is a product that's not, built into the stack, they're still keeping their main mission alive with it being a multitasker and cutting down on the amount of products that you would need to achieve one step in your routine. Now, is this waterproof? It does not say that this is waterproof. I do usually prefer waterproof brow pencils. Okay, let's try out this brow gel. I mean, as much as I kind of teased them for the 3-in-1 label, this is very handy. I wonder how much product is in here though. Okay, upon first stroke, this is a really nice middle of the road brow gel. I can tell that I've got some good hold to it and I'm able to brush them up for a bit more of that fluffy look, but it's not too thick of a formula and I'm not seeing any type of cast yet. So far, so good. Yeah, I like how that styled my brows. I'm kind of a fan of this Brow BFF. Even if I'm not using the Subtl stack, I could definitely see myself reaching for this as part of a larger makeup routine. Also, this is so small of a detail, but I appreciate it so much. The caps on both ends are the same size. So even though one is actually labeled brush, that's the one that's supposed to be on the brush side, they fit over each other and snap into place perfectly. Do you know how many times I have smushed my eyebrow pencil down because I accidentally put the spoolie cap on the pencil end? So that is just a very small detail that I don't even know if they did on purpose, but I love it. Next up is eyeshadow. So Subtl has these eyeshadow duos. Most of them come with one matte shade and one shimmer shade, although they do have a couple options that are double matte. These are typically $18 for the first time and $16 for the refills, although they do have a few shade options on sale. So this duo is called Jelly. It's described as a pinky brown matte and a pinky white shimmer. Now, in my experience with Subtl eyeshadows, these do need a primer. They claim to be crease proof on their own, but I have very oily lids. So I have yet to meet a powder eyeshadow that I can just put on my bare lid. I'm going in with the Moira waterproof eyeshadow primer, but at least with primer, these do last all day on me. Now, I touched on this earlier, but since the last time I reviewed this brand, Subtl has released travel-friendly makeup brushes and other tools. So I have their dual-ended eyeshadow brush, and what I love about this is that it comes with caps for the brushes. So you really can just throw this in your bag without worrying about messing up the bristles or getting them dirty. They also came out with a dry brush cleaner layer that you can add to your stack. So this is one of those spongy brush cleaners for powder products. So you can just wipe off your brush and get rid of whatever color is on it so you can dip into another one immediately. I'm gonna start by dipping into the pinky brown matte shade, and I'm applying that in my crease and outer corner. Wow, impressed with that pigmentation. It looked a little bit more subtle. But no, I can obviously build up the color here for a little bit more of a statement. Or I could even use this as a powder liner if I wanted to kind of deepen up the lash line. I don't know how I feel about the angle of this brush. I feel like this might have been a tiny bit more useful if it was a flat shadow brush on one side and then just kind of a rounded blending brush, or maybe a little bit rounded tapered. Honestly, with shimmers, I do prefer to use my finger anyway, so I'm just gonna dip into that myself. Wow, that is pretty. Ooh, this would also make a great halo eye look if you just put the matte all over the lid and then the shimmer in the middle. I also wish the bristles were just a tiny bit softer. I think I'm a little spoiled because I mostly use Sigma brushes for my eyes, and those are just so soft. They're not like rough or bad feeling by any means. They could just be a little bit softer. But the portability and like the genius design of it makes up for it. Okay, super pretty. Yeah, I think with these two shades, not only could you do a halo eye for a little bit more drama, but you could also just do the shimmer all over the lid and then use the matte as sort of a brown mauve liner, and that would be an even more simple kind of look for every day, maybe going into the office. But yeah, I think this duo gives me a lot of versatility just on its own. Now I'm gonna go in with this other side and see if that's a little bit easier for my crease. This is like a mini rounded blending brush. I will say that the brush is dense, so it really does pack on a lot of color. Ooh, okay. I've figured out the best way to use this brush duo. Pack on the color with the short side and then blend it with the angled side. Do I still wish that it was a little bit more of like a dome blending brush? Yes. But this makes a lot more sense to me, or it's at least working better for what I'm doing. They say this is a pinky white shimmer. I would say a better way to describe it would be champagne. Yeah, overall, I think that this is definitely a brush that I will travel with, but I don't think I would reach for it at home when I have brushes that I prefer to use just feel-wise and technique-wise. Like I said, I hate packing brushes when I travel, especially because of the fact that it's hard to keep them from getting smushed or dirty. You know, there are cases, but then they're bulky. I do think that this is something that I will be packing with me in the future. Now I am gonna go back into the cream highlighter and just add that underneath my brows for a bit of a pop. You could also do this with the powder highlighter. And I'll put this in my inner corner as well. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really been doing eyeliner looks recently as part of my regular routine. At the most, maybe I'll tightline with pencil to thicken up the lashes and line the waterline, or maybe I'll use eyeshadow for a subtle powder liner. But more often than not, I'm not lining my lids anymore, which again is why I feel like this aligns with my go-to routine more now than it did back in 2023, the first time I tried it, when I was still doing liquid liner for nearly every look. But today, I'm just gonna go straight into mascara, which the brand does not have. I'm using the L'Oreal Paradise Big Deal Mascara. I will say that because I skip liner more often now, I definitely want a little bit of extra drama on my lashes. But in general, I feel like focusing on the lashes instead of the liner to add more definition to the eyes, for me and my eye shape and how my eyes are aging, I feel like this ends up keeping them looking more lifted and open, especially a mascara like this that adds so much length. Now, one thing that I did not pick up last time I built a stack that I really wish I had was their Shine Control powder. And typically I would use this right after I finish my face makeup, but I forgot. This is $12 for the first time, $10 for the refill. Now, with something like this, I do prefer a fluffier brush. I will go ahead and try with the one that comes with the mirror and lid base, but they do have a fluffy kind of face brush that's retractable with a cover that I think I'm gonna go ahead and buy. I think that's just another really useful, travel-friendly looking brush. Now, trying to keep this realistic, I did already use this brush for my bronzer, so let's try to clean off some of that bronzer onto the brush cleaner. Well, it definitely got some product off because I'm seeing it on the cleaner. So I'll dip into the translucent powder. Now I'm gonna focus this under my eyes and in my T-zone. This shape is also convenient for under the eyes. It's almost like they thought of these things. I'm gonna go on either side of my nose because that's where I get a lot of oil breaking down my product, and on my forehead to control shine. I'm gonna keep it away from my cheeks though, because I like a little bit of radiance and dewiness there, and we just got such a beautiful glow from these cream products that I don't want to dull it down. But this will help set that concealer as well and give it a little bit of extra lasting power. And this is a very lightweight powder. It's not getting stuck in any of my cream makeup. It's not looking patchy. It's very smooth on the skin. Now, as far as lip choices go, there are a few options from Subtl. So earlier I put on the lip and cheek, but there are two other products that I want to show you. They do offer a lip balm layer, which is going to be on the sheerer side. This shade is Cherry Chateau. And even though it looks very purple in the pan, on the lips, not so much. If anything, I think like the cherry part of it is the smell. So that's the lip balm. This has shea butter, coconut oil, and vitamin E. It feels very nice on the lips, but not too thick. But what I'm most excited to try out today are their new lip glazes. These did not exist the last time I built a stack, and I specifically mentioned, I think at the end of that video, that it would have been nice to have a bit more of a pigmented lip option that was glossier than just the lip and cheek, and these are that. These are $18 for the first time and $16 for the refills. They're made with jojoba oil, shea butter, and castor seed oil, and again, they have a little bit more pigmentation than the lip and cheek. I have the shades Iconic and Magnetic. Let's try them both on. Magnetic seems to be one of their shades that they cannot keep in stock. Every time I check the website, they've been out. Oh, I like that. Now they do have another travel brush option that is a lip brush, so that way you don't have to stick your fingers in the pot and then put it on your lips. Definitely more hygienic if you really are putting this on the go. That is a beautiful kind of rosy medium pink. I like that. Okay, let's try Iconic. This looks like a little bit more of a brownie mauve. Ooh, I think that matches the eyeshadow perfectly. And just immediately, this feels a lot more hydrating on the lips than the lip and cheek formula did on the lips. This is for sure my preferred lip texture. So it's really nice to see after only a year and a half, the brand has really filled in a lot of the gaps that I recognized in the Subtl stack, and this is really covering more steps in my makeup routine and cutting down on other things I would need to use or pack with me. Yeah, I really like the iconic shade. That's a good rosy neutral. So if I were to really streamline my travel routine and I was okay with just having maybe like one core look, these are the layers that I would most likely bring with me. So that's concealer, bronzer, lip and cheek, cream highlighter, eyeshadow, powder, lip glaze, and the brush cleaner. So here's an example of one finished makeup look using my new Subtl Stak. I am so much happier with how this one came out versus my last stack. I also want to point out, I do think they improved their concealer formula. It definitely feels creamier. I think it was easier to blend and look seamless by itself. And this is absolutely the type of look that I've been gravitating toward for daily wear lately. Obviously, this is not something that I would grab if I wanted to do full glam, but for everyday looks or for traveling, absolutely. The funny thing is, I am such an overpacker when it comes to clothes, but I don't like traveling with a lot of makeup. I just don't end up getting done up when I'm away from home unless I'm going to like a wedding or something. And this is the perfect solution to travel with just a staple look or two. Here's another look I created on a different day using Subtl. I applied a little bit more concealer all over the face and was able to achieve foundation-like coverage with it. I used the same Eyeshadow Duo. I just put the shimmer all over the lid and used the matte mauve for a very subtle liner look. And this time I used the powder blush and powder highlight, and I still think that overall my face looks radiant. And if the occasion calls for it, you could achieve an elegant, soft glam makeup look with this because, like I said, I was actually pretty surprised with the pigmentation of this eyeshadow. So you could build it up. You can get a little bit of a statement eye depending on the duo you chose. So my updated final thoughts on Subtl. I think that at this point in time, the Subtl Stak serves way more purpose than it did when I originally reviewed this 2 years ago. More often than not, I am doing lighter, more natural makeup looks, maybe playing up the eyes a little bit, and this helps me achieve that type of look without digging around and juggling a bunch of different products. Now, I want to know, what do you think of Subtl Beauty? And if you watched my original review back in 2023, do you have different thoughts this time around? Could you see yourself incorporating a Subtl Stak into your makeup collection, or could you even see it replacing your makeup collection? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you want to keep watching, join me over in this video next where I share 3 looks created with a new gorgeous cool toned smoky eyeshadow palette. I'll see you over there. Bye!